May the 4th, 1945. On Lüneburg Heath, 5 German officers surrendered the German armies of the North. The war is over.
In the presence of senior officers from Britain, America, Russia and France, Grand Admiral Donitz surrendered unconditionally to the Western and Russian demands on the 7th of May 1945.
The war-weary British began to rejoice straight away, rather than waiting for the official day of celebration on the 8th. There had been years of austerity and rationing. 5 inches of water for a bath, few eggs, no bananas, and the motto, make do and mend. 500,000 homes had been destroyed, thousands of civilians had been killed, and many millions of lives disrupted. And although the casualty lists from the battlefields were lower than in World War I, they were still terrible.
All across the nation, people turned on the wireless to find out more. People were out on the streets, hanging bunting and banners and dancing. Huge crowds gathered in London. King George VI and the Queen appeared 8 times on the balcony of Buckingham Palace, while the 2 princesses, Margaret and Elizabeth, now Her Majesty the Queen, mingled with the crowds. Churchill later gave an impromptu speech on the balcony of the Ministry of Health, telling the crowds, "This is your victory."
However, for the many people mourning a loved one killed in service or a German air raid, the moment of victory was bittersweet.
While Britain was awash with street parties and bonfires to celebrate VE Day, thousands of miles away, British and Commonwealth armed forces were still fighting in Burma, Singapore and Thailand. It was the longest campaign of the war, with continuous fighting for 3 full years, and involved 2.5 million troops. Unlike their comrades fighting in Europe, the British forces had no leave during which they could go home.
300,000 soldiers in the Far East became prisoners of war, and 100,000 of these died. Many were used to construct the now infamous Death Railway, at a cost of 12,000 Allied lives. 1 man died for every sleeper laid.
Japan's surrender came in August 1945 after the devastating use of the first atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Many prisoners of war had to wait months for ships to bring them home, some waiting as long as 2 years. 70 years later.
70 years later.
70 years later.
70 years later.
And 70 years later, we remember.
We remember.
We remember.
We remember.
We remember
all their contributions.
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 70 years later, we remember all their contributions.